It's usually water saturated, you know. So there's not a lot of dunes that can form here. It's because you're a little starved for material that the wind can pick up. And we'll see that at a better spots when we get to San Luis Pass. But you can also see is that where's the highest point on this beach?
Yeah.
The berm, yeah, that's the highest point. Is that very high?
No.
No. So if you get a storm, probably like the one we just had that was eroding some of the dunes, it's going to be big enough to crest this thing.
Yeah.
And then if you get a sand grain that goes across the crest, where's it going to go? Then gravity's going to take over and push it down that way. So that's where washover deposits start helping out. It's in the oh, because it's in my pocket. All right. So gravity's going to take over and help out the surge or whatever, and so that's where part of the washover deposits. It makes it up over the topography. That's another element. Makes it up over the topography and then shoots out that way. So let's go and start walking over some washover deposits. Nope, no. Look at all these chevron patterns. That's because as the water came up and over, gravity took over and started to spread out, and now you're seeing all these unidirectional flow ripples, right? Up there on the beach, you're seeing asymmetrical ripples because you have bidirectional flow. Here it's just unidirectional flow, and so everything we're seeing is ripples going through here. Guys here would love these ripples, man. These are just kind of linguoid, cuspoid, I don't know. There's lots of different things. Well, yeah, they got a little barrier there. Oh, yeah, this ripple guys would be all over this. There's so much things happening through here. But it's basically all unidirectional ripple flow. So it's kind of cool because it's a real fresh surface. The first one was the bittersweet. Sorry. Yes. There's plenty of it.
Just do it again.
Hokum. It's if I ever saw. Yeah. Go get some books, right, please. So as the energy is changing and very slowly, then that changes how much how the ripple can form.
Okay.
And also there's a little bit of steadiness in the flow. If the flow is steady, then it forms these climbing ripples. It can and the whole ripple front can move forward, you know, similarly. But if it's varying flow across and downstream, that's where you get these different differences in wavelength and in height and amplitude, and it's all these local variations. Then you throw a little clam in there, and then that's going to make the flow lines go around. And yeah, so all these little variations you see in here there's a reason for that from physics, and it's all because of the velocity of the flow, interacting with whatever is around it and pushing it. Because the sand supply is all about the same, right? So that's kind of standard. But I guess as you go across this one little channel, you can see where higher energy and lower energy. Higher energy is going to make slightly taller ripples, and also ripple height has to do with the thickness of the water above it, the flow. But then also the height of the ripple and also the amplitude of the ripple. And then when it slows down, it's going to get a little smaller and a little tighter. And so you can see little tighter ripples on the edges and a little bit bigger ripples in the middle. Yeah, so it's all related.
Okay.
There's also San Francisco during
And then as it comes out here and spreads out, it slows down and deposits. Now we're in this washover, I like more maybe the term apron because it's a whole big wide thing. It's not like a real point source, but there's washovers came everywhere. But you can see down through here, this was a little bit lower than all the rest, and so it focused in and formed and brought it through here. And then you can just kind of see, you can kind of see the little spreading out of these different washover bands. Liquidity or liquefaction or what? No.
You said unidirectional.
Something. Yeah. So linguoid.
Linguoid.
Yeah, linguoid, cuspoid. Yeah, you can get just look up ripples. There's some papers out there about all the different types of ripples, and if it has a different ridge crest, these are more straight, and then there's wavy, and then they get into lots of different patterns and things. So they get some different patterns of the ripples. That scientists, we see something different, we gotta call it something different.
Like tongue.
Like what?
Linguoid, like
yeah.
a tongue.
Yes, yeah. So it actually has a little tongue-shaped.
Linguoid.
Yep.
Linguoid. All right.
Yep.
Thank you. Hadn't heard that term.
Yeah. These aren't quite ladder back ripples, but this is indicating, this is kind of cool. It's kind of new. It's actually it's kind of opposite of ladder back ripples, but we might see some of those down here. But you have the big ripples right through here. So these are the big ripples, and then you got smaller ripples in between. And so these big ripples came first, and I can always see that because they're kind of flat topped as well. So they're kind of modified on the top, because if they're true ripples, you're missing the ripple crest.
So then
right?
Water left
And then so the main flow is going this way, but then as the water receded down and it was coming down these things, then the lows are going in, maybe going this direction.
Yeah, coming off.
I don't know, Mark. I would think so. Mark, help me. It looks like the flow is coming in this direction. And so the flow is now just going in between the bigger ripples and forming little, even smaller ripples. Does that look about right, Mark? He's a sedimentologist, so I'm checking with him.
So is this, so...
You introduce yourself as a sedimentologist, so now I'm quizzing you.
As the water settled out into the troughs, and then it was...
No, it didn't settle out. There was enough water, so the water was high, so this whole thing was inundated with water. Here, but then
I missed the operation. So how deeper is that going to go down?
This one is deeper than we've ever done it. So
Ever done
I was
it?
hoping it'll come out. This might be like 8 inches right now.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I said, you don't have to outrun a cheetah. You just have to outrun like friends.
Yeah, I know, right?
Much better.
This is a distributary complex. It's a mix of channels, of features that can confine energy a little bit in a slightly restricted flow to bring sediment out to the point where it becomes unrestricted and slows down and spreads out. And so we're seeing here just a little bit of progradation going out into this world through here.
So it slowed down because of deeper water and the vegetation?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so the vegetation slowed it down a little bit and it had to find its way in between, and then it's trying to fill in this hole, right? So it's just the essence of progradation. It's filling in the hole in from the side. But here,
Here right now.
well, there you go. Yep, now you're forming a little sediment gravity flow there.
Not all.
But we are putting porous sand material over what? Into what environment?
Back Bay. So
Yeah, I mean, this is how much energy is going on right now?
Very little.
Very little. This is our back energy world. Just a little bit of wind, that's it. So this is generally more muddy and mucky. We are putting porous beach sand, because this is where all this sand is coming from, into an impermeable area. So we're making a really nice stratigraphic trap here one day.
There it is on a really small scale.
Well, that's it's happening right there. Yeah, you're building another little lobe that just collapsed and kind of went through.
Yeah, a couple of things.
Yeah, because you forced it down. So
I'm getting a little liquefaction here.
full apron through here, but you got these little cusps going into this back barrier world.
So everybody
Now, eventually, with this retreating, the shoreline retreating, the beach is going to cover all this up, right, and put sand over this kind of muddier section. And then either offshore world is going to come in here and put mud on top of the sand, or we'll sea level lowering, and then you're going to put back barrier world here again and put mud.
Maybe.
Nope, actually no.
That's something I already got. Oh no, it's moving though. Go ahead. It's a lot of it's deep.
So yeah, this is weird here.
It's all clear right now. You see it or not? Alright, now try again.
But yeah, my friend who owns a truck that I'm borrowing, he's a chemical engineer at Exxon, and he's come down here and helps me every once in a while. And he was saying they're going to spend millions, tens to hundreds of millions of dollars protecting those plants. And so eventually we're going to have raised roads that go into the transition zone into these sunken plants with ringed by levees because it's $6 to $10 billion to build a new one. So they'll spend $1 billion saving the one they got. So eventually that's what's going to happen. So yeah, you'll just be driving down where we drove down 288, and it's just going to be a raised up road with all flooding all around it, and then drive to the You can see where we did get one where it goes from the top to the bottom, and it goes from really light stuff to darker stuff. Now, what interesting wise is it does get muddier and siltier as you go to the bottom, and the dark is telling you way more organics, right? So a lot more things going on. This is a lot fresher material, so it doesn't have to, but it's still pretty sandy all the way through. So the washover deposits are coming in through here all the time. But then as it sits around and kind of stands around, then the vegetation comes back and more organics come in, and that filters down through the pore spaces and fills it in and fills in the pore spaces. That's why it gets a little darker through here. But you still have some pretty sandy content all the way through this section. But you can still tell, because it's so dark, there's lots of organic material. It's like, okay, this isn't the beach. I'm not at the beach. I got beach sand. Looks exactly like that stuff because that's where it came from. But all the organics and other things are telling me, no, I'm not on the beach. I'm in some other world. So this is one spot where you can actually see a little bit of layering. Because if you only go down a foot, foot and a half, it's usually just mostly just sand or mud, and that's it. So great Google Earth going back there. You can see the black is this 1994 line. You can see where we are sitting there at stop 3, and you can see every once in a while you got lots of vegetation. And then you got some more white after a hurricane or that comes through. So this whole thing is inundated in all these washover deposits. And so you get, you know, one of these spots is a nice washover fan that goes back through there and actually gets back into the back barrier world. Vegetation takes over. But these low spots where these washover fans come through, they stick around for a little bit longer, right? But then longshore drift kind of fills in those low spots. Vegetation takes over, and then it just kind of becomes static for a few years, and then the next storm comes through, and another big apron comes through here. So you can see that the processes are all very similar. I mean, you can, you know, they're textbook processes. This is what we can explain. The results of those processes vary through time, and then so you have these this world of this background sedimentation, these background processes that are going on like we're seeing today, right? Get interrupted every once in a while by the highest energy episodes that have the biggest capacity to move material and to move the biggest grains, and then the background processes kick in again and kind of smear it all out, and that repeats itself. And so what you see, so you see this motif occurring through time. And so things are changing constantly on the little micro scale. On the macro scale, I guess this whole beach, it's all the same. I mean, if you drilled through this and saw this and you know, you did this for 10,000, 100,000 years, it's all looking the same. But there are small little differences that might be meaningful to you trying to figure out the extent of a reservoir, and whether you're taking things out or putting things in, it might be important to know. Right?
And so we're at stop 3.
Yeah,
right?
we're at stop 3. We were just over at stop 2 before.
Okay.
And then we're going down to stop 4 next to the Brazos River. That's where it comes out. It's now being buried by sand. And the beach is slowly going to be, so, you know, in another 50, 100 years, we might be standing on the beach.
Is anything coming out of
I know, right? Well, as soon as we get something that happens.
We've just been scraping up. Well, actually, this
Organic. Yeah, you can start to see that.
So we go from mud,
Yeah, to the top.
through sands, then the silt layer, and then it's actually going to sand. Oh, we're good now. We're very close now.
Yep.
Yeah, just keep hammering away.
Hey, it's like a discovery.
Color changes.
Alright.
And a little bit of differences. Oh, is that the bottom? Oh, that's fresh. Is that,
No, this is top.
that's top?
Top.
Bottom?
Bottom.
There we go.
So it's a 1 foot, I see.
Yeah.
Nice.